My man. Yeah, why that looks so good right there? He's right here. He's right here. This is what I got. Look what I got. Depicted dusted dogs wanting peace. Being blowed as my steeds as vulnerable niggas bleed. Demons dissipate, ducking from diamond cutters. Confirmation of kill count climbs when I buck ya. Cabbages crave, comrade, cop your capital. Dodge the one time, hit the court, get points in basketball. Rats is running at the mouth, racing for ballers. Man, fuck them bitches, do what the fuck you wanna. Morbid memories of mama being mangled. Devoted to dying for nothing, leave it like a scandal. Looking for family in the midst of rats and roaches. So instead I stay high in the streets, staying focused. I'm bending corners. Fucked up hella warrior. Block blistering from the hot ones I'm delivering. Plotting on murder. I once dated a little person. I was nuts over her. I live in a bad neighborhood. I hit my car alarm and it said, "Nigga, don't leave me here." I ripped out my own stereo and left it next to the car, just so they won't break the window. Okay. Today's my story, and it's tell about the family in which your mother grew up. Do you know what her childhood was like, and do you remember any stories she told you about it? Okay, so tell you about the start with tell you the family that my mother grew up in. My mother, I think, was one of 4 children, and I think that we're that communication is not a big thing in my family, but I'm pretty sure that it was my Aunt Andrea and then my Uncle Vay. My Aunt Andrea had one dad, and then my Uncle Vay and my mom have a different dad, and the same dad. And then my Uncle Alfred, he has my my grandpa Steve as his dad. So one of 4, and she doesn't really know her father. I told you that before. She doesn't know him. She doesn't really. That's why I was like kind of puzzled, like, how do you not know him when he had your brother too? But I know that they lived in the projects. I know that all since I was growing up. See, where I'm from, like, everybody knows everybody, and not only does everybody know everybody, but there's sides, you know what I mean? There's sides of the city. Like, if you know it, you know it. And my mom's from the Bennett Homes projects, and I know that because she would always tell me as a kid. And yeah. So and I don't know. I think the William Penn projects is the projects, but the Bennett Homes, like, the Bennett Homes, you know what I mean? Bennett Homes, like, even when I came up, Bennett Homes was like, you know what I mean? Like, some of, like, little Vietnam, they always have like these weird names, Chirac, whatever, you know what I mean? I'm from at Lamoken Village, the LV projects, but yeah. So, and then she told me that that they were Jehovah's Witnesses for a while, and that one time they had a birthday party for my mom, and it got out that they were having a birthday party, and that's frowned upon in the Jehovah's Witness community. And I think she told me that they had came to the house and they confronted her about it, and then they were kicked out of the church, and they were also shunned. I know that my mother, okay, so my mom is like maybe, I told you, 17 or 19 years older than me. So my mom really, what she would always stress upon me is that when she was young, my grandmother, since she's deaf in one ear and hard to hear in the other ear, that she would have like a lot of men friends, and not like, but she would hang out with a lot of guys, and those guys, and they would party, and when they party, get drunk, and then sometimes they would beat her up and take her money, or somehow way to get her money, because there's these hood dudes, and then there's like a handicapped lady. You know what I mean, try to show her that you love her. And I think that she always told me that they were constantly moving around. So and that yeah, they would sometimes that they would get, some of the guys that she would date would get drunk, and then they would beat her up and take her money. And then she told me that one night, this is a good one. One night my Uncle Vay took, my grandma's working. My Uncle Vay was at home. I guess he stole the car and he took it as a kid. Maybe he was, I don't know, 17, 18. He took the car and he went to go party. And they said that my grandmother got a call at work saying that come now, Vay is in the hospital. He's been in an accident. And they said that the car he must have backed the car into a pole, and then the pole slammed down on the car. So when they got there, he was in a coma. But when she went in there, they said that Vay was dressed in women's clothes, and the police officers are giving her this stuff. And even when and you have to remember that when they were telling me this, it was probably when I was a kid. And in those times they were telling me like, ooh, he was in women's clothes. So I guess he was in a coma for maybe like a month. And when he came out, he was paralyzed on one side of his body. So yeah, so that was like affecting the whole family. And at the time, that was his coming out party. You know what I mean? Like at that time, first of all, he's in the ghetto. Number two, he's a black male, and he's not saying that I'm gay. They catch him in women's clothes. And I don't think he really, like, at that time, I don't think anybody even wanted to know what it was about. Because I was telling someone one time, and they was like, so, I can't even now, like, I don't know, like, was he trans? They didn't even try to understand. It wasn't even important. Like, you're tripping. So, I'll talk about that Vay later, but that was my man. And then she always told me that she was bad. You know what I mean? She was bad as hell. She was just out there wilding. She would always say she had a foul mouth, and people would always tell her to watch her mouth. She'd stop, be ladylike, and she'd tell them, go fuck yourself. And also she told me that like when she be out there acting up, people would yell out windows like, why don't you go do that where you live at? Why don't you go? You know what I mean? It always stuck in my mind because I remember when I got older and I was in the projects, and when I was there, my grandma lives like a block away from Lamoken Village. She lives in Martin Luther King. So I didn't live in Lamoken Village. Like, I just hung out with the dudes that lived in Lamoken Village in LV. And then they like, yo, you one of us, or you one of us, dog. So I'm LV. And I was saying that too, like when I was out there, I was wilding too. I was bad. I don't think I was trying to be like wild, but I was my natural who I am. And I remember one time someone said that, like, yo, why don't you do that where you live at? And I was like, I was so proud. I remember like, man, I made it, dog. We made it. We made it. We made it. So that's just like this part of that made me think about it. And I remember that she said that my girl. Okay. Today's Hip Hop 101 in the eyes of Lonnie Dangerous. So last time we did work on your hooks, because hooks, that's how you catch your audience, you know what I mean? And you're even in the club and you have like a nice hook, even if you don't like it after a while, you just started doing it, you know what I mean? No, Hot in Here, I really did. But there was one Nelly song that I don't know if I really liked it. But then when I heard the hook in the club, when I was in the club, I was like, okay, I see what he's doing here. I see what he's doing. So hooks are very important. So today, I want to talk about the art form because, it rarely gets talked about anymore. Like it really, and really, that's the whole point that, it's like something that's not talked about, it's not addressed, it's there, but it's not there. You know what I mean? So I wanted to start off by saying that, because I got a whole lesson on my own about the art form too, since I've been here. Like I joined this hip hop choir, and they were teaching me about all the elements of hip hop, and that like I knew about the first three. Like coming up in the beginning, I think I'm probably the third generation of hip hop. And coming up in there, we danced, we break danced. I had my uncle, and even me when I was little, I tried to do graffiti. That's another element of a graffiti. Like everyone's practicing their names, and then another element is DJing, and that came automatically because at that time, like when we overtime hustling. But at that time, there was no way to. First of all, they wasn't not trying to hear hip hop on the radio. Nowhere I went. Maybe in Philly, yeah, you would get a no. I'll be honest because I know that my uncle and maybe they had like hours that they played it, but I know my uncle and them would be coming back with tapes, and like I'll be like, oh, let me get that one. Let me listen. So you couldn't get it everywhere, and it was constantly like just like how it is now, like just constantly new artists come up. That's how it was back then, but there's no place to get it out, so we share him as the DJ would be the guy who would give you one tape with like 10 or 15 of them on there, and he would cipher through all the garbage and give you the top ones. And that's the problem why I have with the art form right now, that there's a lot of guys that call themselves DJs and they're breaking records, and then what they're doing is they're playing their friends' records, or they're getting paid to play this record. And I have like a problem with that because it's no longer like an element of it. We've merchandised everything. But okay, so the DJ, he was the element, because even before that, before him giving out the tapes, learning in the history, the DJ is the first one who started the party. That was where hip hop started. Hip hop started in the park, late night after dark. That was who you think played the records. It was the DJ. So that was essential. Those are the three ones that are essential to it. Breakdancing, graffiti, and DJing. But then along comes the rapper, you know what I mean, who gets on the mic. Like, because before, when I was a kid, I wasn't really a fan of the rappers. They weren't really in the forefront. They weren't. You know what I mean? I don't care what no one says. They weren't on the forefront. It was the DJs. And I had my favorite DJs. Like, Grandmaster Flash was my man. Like, every time I hear DJ, Grandmaster Flash. Larry Love. Look up Larry Love. Larry Love. And it was Larry Love. And then of course I thought Jazzy Jeff was one of the illest DJs ever, because he had the transform scratch. So that's that. But then they needed someone to hype up the party, you know what I mean, to get him in there, the MC comes in. That's like another element. So these are elements of the art form. And then there's slang. They gave me all these other ones. There's slang, there's fashion, because you can't have it without fashion, you know what I mean, this culture that we are creating of hip-hop, the elements that it consists of. Well, as you hear all these, most of them are art, period. The fashion is art, walking art, but it's art. DJ, you might not think it is, but the graffiti is art. It's street art, but it's art. The DJ is art. He's art. You know, when he's doing on the records, he's taking something else and he's made it something else, which is now art. So now when you come to the rapper, like, I had some New York rappers on the podcast the other day, and I felt good because it brought me back to this times where when Philly, like on the block, everyone, if you spit, you have to have bars, because when people come up, you need to have your bars ready, and you just lay them down. We lay them down on a regular every now and then. We get blowed anyway, just to show how fresh our crew is with the rapper. And I was that rapper of my crew, even in Alaska. I'm the rapper. That's what I do. So it's an art form in the street sense of rapping, one. But then now you're adding sound, you know what I mean? You're putting it into these earplugs and you're creating a song. Now that is an art form, you know what I mean? How your voice fluctuates through even as me working with all these musicians, and me working as a musician, as a rapper, my vocals and my lyrics are an instrument. My brain is part of that instrument. You know what I mean? Like, that's one thing that no one can fuck with me on this mic because of all the things I put all together. Like how Kobe is like trying to complete his whole thing. Like, your voice, the lyrics need to have quality. The music should be bumping. You know what I mean? There's like a whole, you can't just come with just bars. You have to like, and even your sound, does it match who you are? You know what I mean? And what kind of sound are you into? You know what I mean? You're taking like your regional, but I always try to say like, I always wanted to keep my music like Michael Jackson, Prince, or Madonna, because I want to like, I want to be in a vibe, but I don't want to be the vibe. You know what I mean? I want to be able to do every genre of music and create my own. You know what I mean? Like, Michael Jackson songs are Michael Jackson songs. You try to put it in R&B, but it's not really R&B. It's like Michael Jackson. Prince is R&B, but he's not R&B. He's like Prince. You know what I mean? His music speaks for itself, and that's what I always try to strive for. Like, I hope that I could do, as being a versatile artist altogether, I hope that I would put in my music that translates into my music, where it's versatile. I can go in one style, a different style, and still like, let's see what he does with this, like Biggie did. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about. You know what song I mean. I was raised in Alaska, and I know what you're thinking. I didn't know that there were any black people in Alaska. There aren't. I left. Yes, I've been to the North Pole. Do I know Santa Claus? He owes me $40. It's a long story. I don't like to talk about it, but he knows that bag was janky.
I'm surprised that the Jerry Springer show's still on. He always says, "We'll be back with Jerry's final thought."
I've been constantly watching the Food Network channel lately. All these gourmet dishes, Rachel Ray, Guy Fieri, got me mad when I had to go to the kitchen and Top Chef me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I kicked it up a notch though, with some cupboard-aged gummy bears. One of my favorite shows is Bizarre Foods. The host goes all over the world and tastes the most bizarre foods. Goat testicles, pig heads, monkey brains. I consider it amazing, considering I can't eat the skin off a baked chicken. Yeah. #vomit. I live in a predominantly white neighborhood, and I feel uncomfortable buying watermelon when I'm at the grocery store. I always fear that white people will catch me and tap each other and say, "I told you." I have an uncle who likes to use the restroom and forgets to wash his hands. He's old, but I think he does it on purpose because, one, because he strategically touches people, places, and things. Two, because he always remembers and says it loudly. Ooh, that one killed me. The neighbor lady was over. He don't like her. He'd rush over to give her a hug. "Oh, hey, Bessie, girl, come on over here." Touch her hair. "Is all that you?" Pinch her cheek. "You just as cute as you want to be." Get something off her lip. Come here. You got something right there. Have her twirl. "Go on, look at you." He grabbed her purse. "Wait now, is this yours?" Then he remembered. "Oh shit, I forgot to wash my hands." "I'll be right back, missy. You stay right there." We never eat at his house. He had me on my Matrix shit for the holidays. "Hey, what's up, Unc?"
Hey, yeah.
It's weird to me because Charlize Theron gains weight to play a role as a prostitute, and the whole world's amazed. But when I do it, it's a felony. Racist.